Dealing with stress and burnout.
Hi, I'm Lauren Selby.
And I'm Jamie Selby.
And we've got 3 beautiful kids, Jackson, Alara and Tobias.
And we're currently travelling the world.
We're trying to show you how to live the ultimate life by living life the way that you want to.
Yeah? Why are you not over there with Mummy? Mummy's supposed to be looking after...
Mummy just said, can you run over to you?
Why?
Because she wants to ask if we're coming over to you or staying there.
You just stay over there. Because yeah. So that's a great example of dealing with stress and burnout. We've come here to this beautiful place and I want to kind of set this scene because this is a beautiful scene and this is not what life was always like. We still do deal with stresses and not necessarily burnout, do still deal with stress as a dad, as a parent, and I'm sure Lauren will fill you in about the stresses and strains that she has, but majority of those stresses and strains are, I like to think of them as like my ape mind. I want to paint this picture in your head that you've got this ape inside your head, that when you're feeling fear, when you're feeling anxious, when you're feeling stressed, you know, this ape starts taking and starts banging on the sides of our walls, the sides of the walls of our brain, taking control of our brain ultimately. And we struggle to manage our emotions, we struggle to whatever we're dealing with in that moment. And now you add to that another ape, which is a child, and another one, which is another child, and another one, which is another child. And you've got 4 apes banging in your brain, all the things that you've got to do or you want to do in the day, and then you've got 3 children also trying to grab your attention, like Tobias was just then. So I don't know if that will be in this clip, but ultimately I think it's an important message that, you know, as a parent we're being pulled from pillar to post, and Lauren and I were trying to do this video and we wanted to do this video together, but we've decided to actually do it separately, to do my perspective as a dad and her perspective as a mum, because I think it's really important to show you the real life of what we're trying to do. We're trying to show you or inspire you to live the ultimate life, but I feel like, you know, if we're not being honest, respectful, we're not following our family values, and we're not giving you the right picture as to what the ultimate life is for us. And we struggle at times for balance, for want of a better word, even whilst travelling. So we're on this journey to discover what the ultimate life is. But I guess my question to you is, have you ever felt stressed or burnt out? Have you ever felt like anxious? Have you ever felt like you wanted to scream? Have you ever felt like you want to shout at the kids? Do you ever shout at the kids? You know, I hold my hands up, you know, I shout at the kids far too often. Now I want to be clear, stress to me is the apes kind of taking over inside your mind, and you struggle to kind of manage your emotions. You might get a bit angry, you might go reserved, you might go introverted, you might not speak to people. But burnout for me is where the apes have taken over completely. Like that's the only thing that's alive in your head. There's no, I wanted to kind of paint this image of this like David Attenborough sat in my head, you know, very, very calm and tranquil voice telling me, you know, everything's going to be okay. You know, here's this beautiful scene as ducks come past and polar bears or whatever's happening in the scene. But ultimately calming your mind down, you know, that's not present when I experience burnout. So when I experienced burnout, my mind was broken. My mind couldn't distinguish between what was real and what wasn't real. I could never get away from the fear aspect of being a dad that wasn't present for my kids. Yeah, I found that really difficult as being a dad because, you know, I want to be the provider for my family. I want to be a good role model for my kids. I don't want to be that stressed dad, the one that's shouting at my kids all the time. And that's, you know, have you ever done that? Have you ever shouted at your kids? And, you know, if you have, you know, I've been there. You know, I've been in that situation where I'm getting really, really angry to the point where I have smacked my child. You know, I'm not proud of it, but I was so stressed, so anxious, so angry about the situation. Basically, Tobias came up to me, smacked me around the face. I wasn't very happy about it. I reacted, I smacked him back. These are the situations that we sometimes as parents, we just get pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed all the time, and it's very, very hard to kind of manage those expectations as a parent that we put on ourselves. And I started coaching, I started doing a lot more personal development, reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad, reading lots and lots of books about the subject of parenting. Raising Boys is another example of a book that I read. And I tried to understand, like, why was I feeling this way? Why was I feeling so angry? Why was I feeling so stressed? Why was I feeling so tense? Why was these apes taking over my brain all the time? And I wanted to understand, you know, what could I do differently as a parent? What could I change? What direction could I go? And, you know, that's what I'm sharing with you. I mean, what could you change? What could you do differently as a parent? You know, have you read those books? Have you looked into any books? Have you looked at any YouTube videos? I've looked at those things and I've watched them time and time and time again, but I felt like none of them were really, they were connecting and starting to make sense, and I was trying to implement them, but it wasn't until I had coaching that I realised that it wasn't my kids' behaviour that I had to control, because that's what I was trying to do. It's like, you know, it wasn't my wife's behaviour that I had to control, it was mine. It was how I was behaving as a dad, how I was behaving as a human being, and the stress that I felt in my head. You know, I had to get that ape out of my head and put the David Attenborough back in, you know, calming me down, talking to me about animals and culture and everything else that David Attenborough talks about. And you know, you can imagine his voice now just talking to you, just calming you down so that you can be the better person. And when doing coaching, you start to ask yourself questions, you start to look inwardly, look into your heart, look into your mind, and start to understand more about yourself. Because I don't know about you, but I kind of thought coaching was just like this woo-woo nonsense. But coaching is not going to work for me. But actually, when you look at it, coaching is a brilliant way of getting better at something. So I'll ask you a question, you know, do you think Lionel Messi has been coached to play better at football? Do you think Michael Schumacher was coached to be a better driver? Do you think Roger Federer was coached to be a better tennis player? Like, you know, these people get coached because they want to be better. So if you want to be a better parent and you want to be better at managing your stress and your anxiety, that's why we've created this video ultimately. You know, I'm trying to give you perspective that, you know, you're not the only one. You're not alone. You know, it's perfectly normal to kind of feel stress. It's perfectly normal to get burnt out. And I think in this modern world, in 2023, it's beginning to be even more prominent within parents in particular. And I relate to dads because, you know, dads have got this persona that we have to work. So we have to go to work. But now we're in an era where it's not just the dads that are working, it's also the mums that are working. So what happens to all those household chores? So please do check out our other video on household chores, because I think that will really help as well from a mindset shift, and also how to look at downsizing your life potentially. But when I think about household chores and adding that into the mix, so you've got both parents working, you've got all the household chores, you've got children, like how the hell do we fit everything in a day? Like, we were sat at home, sat on, you know, we've got these lovely white walls, white kitchen, white gloss kitchen. We've got these lovely like wooden worktops, stainless steel kitchen appliances. It looked absolutely lush, and we're sat there opposite each other, Lauren and I, and we're like, you know, how are we going to do this? How are we going to look after our children? Is that the parent I want to be? You know, do I want to be a parent that outsources my children? And we both looked at each other and we were like, no. We then looked at the cost of childcare. If you've seen in our introduction video, it was £2,990 per month for 2 children. Yeah, it was just very, very difficult to kind of get that into grips in our minds. And that's when we decided that, you know, enough's enough. We've struggled for too long, you know, struggling to manage our mindset, struggling with stress, struggling with anxiety, struggling with paying the bills. You know, all these pressures as a parent just kind of took over. And like I say, with the coaching, that just helped us. You know, we still have those things, but with coaching, it helps reframe things. It helps us look at things from a different perspective. When I started coaching as well, I had a lot of people saying, you know, why are you having coaching? Like, you know, you've got a good job, you've got a massive house, you've got a nice car, you've got a dog, you've got kids, like you've got everything, Jamie. You've got absolutely everything. Yeah. I have to everyone else outside, but inside, you know, I'm still a human being. I still have stress. I still have anxiety. If you're watching this video to this point now, you've felt that. You've had that stress, that anxiety, that overwhelming ape-like mind that comes in and takes over, and you're not nice to be around. You know, and I don't know if you've ever felt like that you feel like you're not a nice person to be around. But, you know, if you are, I'm hoping that this will really help you put things into perspective, because sometimes the people that are closest to us are the ones that are the hardest to kind of help us, because they can't see everything that's going off in our life. They don't see everything that's going off in our life. All they see is what they want to see. And sometimes our friends are not the best people to be advising us, because, you know, if you've got a friend that's really overweight and they're giving you diet advice, it's probably not the best advice. If you've got friends that are giving you relationship advice but they're single, that's probably not the best advice. So, you know, and the reason why I'm sharing this is if you're looking to get help and support, get help and support from somebody that is living the life you want to be living, or they're no longer experiencing the problem that you're experiencing, so they overcame that problem, because that's going to give you the aha moment, the epiphany bridge, as Russell Brunson would call it. You're going to be able to have those breakthrough moments. But if you speak to your parents just want the best for you. You know, my parents wanted the best for me, and your parents want the best for you. Well, I hope that's true. But, you know, I like to believe as a parent, you know, all I want is the best for my children. You know, sometimes it might not come across like that. You know, when I'm in a sweet shop, they do not think that it is the best thing for them, for me not giving them sweets. They feel like having sweets is the best thing for them. But as their dad, as their coach, as their mentor, it's not my responsibility, but it is a relationship. As a relationship, I feel like it is my responsibility really to help guide them to making good decisions, you know, and I don't want them to be making bad decisions with their diet and eating chocolates and sweets too much. You know, they are treats, they're not food. You know, and when we're talking about stress, you know, in the exact same context, I'm going to say stress is a choice. It is a choice. It's a choice how we deal with it, how we manage our stress. It's not a choice that we have stress, because we're going to end up in stressful situations. We've been traveling now for 7 months, and we've had some very, very stressful situations, nearly being blown off the road by 120 kilometre winds, being stuck in snow when we had to get out of the country because of our Schengen days. Again, we'll be sharing that on other videos. But the point is that we manage those situations very well, because we've been trained how to do some deep breathing, how to think of things from a different perspective, but ultimately we know when the ape's in control. So I like the ape as an analogy, because when I know the ape's in control, I'm like, look, just give me some distance, like I just need some distance. So I'm very clear to Lauren, my partner in crime, and the kids, look, just give me some distance, just give me some space. And it's the same for them. So, you know, if you've ever had your kids having an absolute shit fit, absolutely losing their head, losing their mind, losing their marbles, over just the littlest things, all they need is space. All they need is love and care. You know, they don't need you adding your ape brain into their ape brain, because all those apes together is going to create burnout for you. For me, on this journey of trying to figure out what works, and, you know, like I've mentioned before, coaching really helped me kind of put things in perspective. But it wasn't actually until we came on this journey, and we would have never gone traveling with our kids had we not sold our house, because that's our safety net. That's the fear, and the risk management person in me is going, oh, well, if we sell our house, then, you know, we're going to lose all that equity. If we sell a house, we're going to have nowhere to live. If we sell a house, like, we're going to lose all our assets. If we sell a house, like, you know, where are we going to live? All these questions that are in my head as to risk management, which is just causing more and more stress. We had to get to a point where we'd go after our ultimate life, you know, and that's what I'm hoping you would do. I'm not saying go and sell your house, by the way. What I'm saying is if you need something to give you a push to actually go after your ultimate life, that's what's going to help you discover moments like this. You know, I'm on this beautiful beach, I'm with my kids. Okay, we're here with the film crew and we're filming this content right now, but it's beautiful. You know, you've got the waves crashing behind me. It's so tranquil. I can hear the kids in the background. I can see them clearly from over here, that they're safe. It's nice and shallow, the sun's shining. It just helps you change your perspective, because I've changed my environment, and the environment in the UK, we have to deal with a lot of rain. Let's put it that way, a lot of crappy weather, you know, and let's be honest, right now in the UK, anywhere in the world, cost of living is causing huge stresses and strains on people. Yeah, so it doesn't matter whether you're from the UK, whether you're from Turkey, Portugal, France, like anywhere in the world, you're dealing with these problems at the moment, with cost of living crisis as they're calling it. But this problem's been accumulating over a long time, and I don't want to go into that, but the point is that is causing a lot of stresses and strains on families. So we made the decision to downsize our life. You know, people are calling it hashtag van life, you know, and yes, we travel in a van, but we also do a bit of hybrid, we do a bit of Airbnb, because we found that actually that gave us what we're calling the ultimate life, because we get to travel, we get to experience things like this, which helps our mindset. It helps us better understand ourselves. You know, we putting ourselves in an environment like this, like how can you get stressed around an environment like this? I don't, like, how can you get stressed? It's so peaceful, it's so tranquil. I'm sure there are situations where you probably could find under your risk management radar what is stressful about the situation. But the point is if you get yourself out of your normal life, you know, do you think your life could improve? Do you think your stress could reduce? Now, burnout is a separate thing, but burnout, taking yourself away from the situation, even away from your family for a few days, is going to help you better understand your burnout and recharge your batteries, because that's ultimately what burnout is for me. I like to think of it as like a battery, and you've used up all your energy, there's nothing left. So that battery is depleted, it's got nothing left to give. You can't plug it into anything. It's not gonna work. And your kids are trying to get that energy, but they're not going to get it because the battery's empty. So you need to go away and recharge your batteries, and that's what we've done. We've gone away and we're recharging our batteries. But not only that, this is now our life. You know, would you like your life to be more, you know, going to new places, meeting new people, making new friends, experiencing different culture, teaching your kids different languages, like a bit of homeschooling, taking them to museums? We've hired out a private boat. You know, all of these things have been made possible because we've decided to change our life. So what could you achieve if you decided to change your life? What does your ultimate life look like? Join us on our adventure
as we inspire you to live your ultimate life.
Please like and subscribe.
Right, you can't put your foot on that.
No, Jack.
Maybe rely on
That's it.
No, you can't.